Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Covenant Cast. I'm your host, Zach.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today, we are talking about a vast number of things. There's a lot going on right now. Transformers came out. We finally got the reprint for Warhammer Champions. We're announcing the core set starter giveaway for X-Wing. More giveaways on the way as well, so stay tuned, and here we go. All right, so let's kick this off with a bang.
Are we started?
We're started. I like the surprise factor. Every week I try to get Steven, and he ends up being the one to get me. So we had posted on Facebook and Twitter, essentially having people tag someone they know that should be playing X-Wing Second Edition.
Which is awesome.
I'm a huge fan of this because
I'm a huge fan as well.
We've seen it probably if you follow us at all. We do a lot of learning series. Mm-hmm. Which is content geared at getting people into the tabletop gaming community, right?
Yep.
And so to be able to directly have our fans say, this is someone that should be a part of this and isn't, and then we can basically say, okay, here's a start. So we're gonna do that, and then we had an incredible response to our giveaways.
Yeah.
So we gave away conversion kits for X-Wing, a coin for Champions, and Keyforge decks.
Yeah.
And I think we announced that was last week. That feels like forever
I know.
ago.
That's what I was. It feels like it's been like 200 days since like last Wednesday.
So the first thing I want to do is pick an X-Wing starter, and then I'm going to go over to John's desk. We're in Prototypeville right now, which means a thing gets designed, conversations happen, they get prototyped, we get the prototype, conversations happen, more designs get made, prototypes happen, etc. And that process can go on for quite a while. And we even mentioned last week, and I think we used them on the stream when we did Keyforge.
They had some
the Keyforge compatible tokens going on, and a couple other things. So I'm just going to get a potpourri of things that we're going to be giving away. First thing, before we went on air, I had John say one or two, which was for Twitter or Facebook, and he chose two, which was Facebook.
All right.
So now I'm on our Facebook.
Mark. Hey, Zuck.
Zuck. I was like, who's Mark?
Yeah.
That's oddly specific.
Marky Z.
So I'm going to randomly pick. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna have you give me a number.
Okay.
From 1 to 300.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I'm gonna scroll that much down to that number comment.
Oh, on Facebook. This is for the thing. I feel an overwhelming sense of responsibility.
Well.
Let's do.
And it's not in chronological order. This is the Facebook order, so there's not like a you could have known.
124.
All right. So now what I'm gonna need you to do is talk in a way that I can listen and people listening can understand and enjoy while I'm counting 120 names down.
I should have told you like 3.
We might have to do a speed up on the cast, but hold on.
Where's Kira's talking about getting a little Spanish flea.
All right, let me, I'm counting. I'm going to count quick.
Yeah, I count quick. Can you at least give me like a topic to talk about?
Yeah, what's been going on in your week?
Okay, well, I can talk about that. I'll catch everybody up.
Yeah, we normally do like a week. What happened this weekend? I'll hit mine up way off in a little bit.
So for those of you guys, are you playing at home? My dog is no longer on death's door.
Hey, and his name's Bogey, right? We can reference him now as
Bogey, short for Bogart.
Shorter for Bogues.
Shorter for Bogues, and then sometimes we elongate it again to Bogerton. So it really doesn't, as long as you got the first part, it doesn't really matter. But he is now no longer has heartworms and no longer on exercise restriction and is feeling very good, which is unfortunate. Because he was a very subdued, like nice, cuddly puppy before, but that was only because he was about to die.
Yeah, he had you couldn't let him run and all that kind of stuff.
There were literally worms like eating through his heart. Now that that's not happening, he's got a ton of energy. He wants to be outside all the time, and so every morning I'm walking like about a mile, which has been pretty good.
So what was reducing his energy?
The worms, the literal worms in his heart, and the like poison level of medicine in his veins.
So now the poison level's gone.
Poison level's gone. The worms are gone.
And you can let him run, and he can feel like he wants to run.
Yeah, he can feel like he wants to run. So like now he has like all of this energy, and he doesn't know what to do with it, and we didn't really know what to do with it. So we've just been like just exercising it all out of him as much as possible. Yeah, but the upside is like every morning, once I like wake up and like realize that I'm a human being, which takes some time. I get to walk, like I said, about a mile for about an hour, and I go all the way back to the far back of the property, and then all the way back up.
So that's a major change of routine.
Huge change
for
of lifestyle.
John Woolley.
Yeah, it's a huge change of lifestyle for John Woolley, and as I was telling Zach the other day, I try to at least be conscious of the things that can easily be changed and the things that cannot easily be changed. And my sleep schedule can more easily be changed than my dog's sleep schedule, unfortunately. So now I'm trying to go to bed at like 9, which is like not something my body does. And I'm waking up about 7 every morning. And
that's good.
Walking. And I've started putting like turmeric and pepper in my coffee in the morning and ginger. And that's been really nice.
Like your coffee before you get here.
Yeah, I have a coffee. I wake up, I walk the dog, I have a coffee.
I've lived that life before.
I do freelance work, I come here, I have another coffee, I do work, I go home, and then I do either yard work or other freelance work.
Do you feel significantly more productive on your new schedule?
I feel significantly more exhausted on my new schedule. So
that's a sign. That's a key indicator there. So for me, it's interesting. I got back from the honeymoon and I have actually shifted my schedule around as well.
Yeah.
I've been waking up a lot earlier, and I do feel more tired.
Yeah.
But I also feel earlier in the day I have a lot more energy, and then I also feel like I'm getting a lot more done.
Sure.
Like I'm getting way ahead on a bunch of things.
That's nice.
But I also am not spending that time like walking a dog or doing that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So like I'm getting the time and having nothing else going on.
Yeah.
But it's been very nice. So
the time that when I am doing my work at the beginning of the day, it's nice. I do feel like I can do much more creative work at the beginning of the day than at the end of the day, and that's kind of a new development. But it's mostly because I now spend a lot of my time here, as you might imagine, whereas I used to be able to sort of just like. Whenever I was inspired, I could work, but now I have to use that inspiration for money. And then,
how does that work?
Not really around.
Welcome to adulting.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a winner really quick.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be quick. We can make a big deal out of it.
Well, we're not air horning this week. Steven's gone, so the air horn died. For everyone that listened or watched last week, I don't know if I should apologize. I'm not going to apologize.
No, don't apologize.
But no air horn this week.
No one said a word about it. Positive or negative.
Hold on, okay, so the winner was tagged by Michael Hirsch, and the winner is James Kiddock, who Michael says should be playing this game. So I'm going to right now reply.
Oh, as we're doing this here. You want me to do a
right now.
Zach's now typing.
I'm typing it right now, so you'll hear this eventually, but you'll also be tagged, because they're both tagged in this post.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, you are the winner. Please message us your address for your free core set.
So we can come find you. Deliver your free core set.
X-Wing.
That's nice. You got some social skills there.
Welcome to the world.
Oh. The universe of X-Wing?
Welcome to the X-Wing community.
The void space of X-Wing? The vast emptiness of X-Wing?
All right, let's see. All right, so that posted as me. Facebook does this weird thing where like it either posts as you or the page, and you never know.
Did you know that that was the problem with the latest Facebook breach? Is that the page and the person could there was a lot of fuzzy security between those two things?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what caused there to be a big destruction.
All right, I updated it because I wanted to be specific. Please message us on the Team Covenant Facebook page.
There you go.
In order for that to happen. So congratulations. Thank you guys all so much for tagging someone who should be playing X-Wing. If you do know someone that should be playing X-Wing, check out the Learning X-Wing series. Send that to them. That's a great way for people to get all the info they need to get started. And we will keep doing our best to grow that community.
I really do like this giving away starters business.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I think it's really neat.
It's one of my favorite. I mean, I'm tempted. I'm feeling wily.
Well, I mean, how many more barriers of entry can we as Covenant lower to help you guys get your friends into the games that you love so that you can have some face-to-face time? What can we do?
Well, I mean, it's for us, it's like a huge reason why all of us do what we do is to get people into the tabletop gaming community. And the feeling I get just by giving that X-Wing core set away is great. But like, it tempts me into like going crazy.
Yeah,
it's like I'm just gonna grab like 30 starters but we can't do it all at once.
You're pulling against the reins.
I gotta slow it back. So really quick on the giveaway train, I'm gonna go a little crazy. I am gonna get up.
Watch out. This is it. He's
this is dangerous. For everyone that doesn't know, Steven's out of the office right now.
Yeah.
He's normally in charge of this kind of thing.
And unrestrained.
Unchained.
What do you need? Do you need those guys?
This is what I want.
So my desk is littered right now with prototypes, and Zach
I'm telling you,
grabbing
Prototype
some of those.
City.
We have never ever done before. We've been very reticent in the past to show any prototypes, as they are all.
I'm telling you, I'm feeling. Some in our company would call it gumption.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling wily. So a couple things. We're gonna keep this pretty simple.
Look at all these.
Yeah, just bags of stuff.
This is. I think there was like 70 different designs for this.
For that thing.
Token.
All right, so
we haven't even announced that this token is something that we're gonna do.
This thing, yeah. Well, I may not say what that's for,
okay.
but we'll get there in a second. So the first thing I want to do is we've been doing the Covenant Masters series, which is like there's qualifiers, and the top 6 players from the qualifiers qualify for the championship, which is in February. We have 2 more qualifiers left, November and December. November is a sealed event, and December is a Trilogies constructed event.
Cool.
But one of the prizes the top 6 players get, as well as qualifying, is a character board, which is blue, and it's really cool, and I have them on my desk because they're awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so we actually...
Jedi-themed blue character board.
Jedi-inspired.
Jedi-inspired.
We got to be careful here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for people that own the word Jedi. Yeah, you're not the legal department. It's okay.
It's a Space Knight.
The thing is, that's one of those products that we really, I mean, I was not, even as a huge Destiny player who wanted it myself, had no idea how the community would react and if people would dig it or not. And every time I streamed, when we first started streaming, now we're kind of doing it on Mondays pretty regularly, but when we first started, I was just kind of messing around on Wednesday night League night for Destiny. Every time people were just like, oh my goodness, where do I get this board? So we've been in development on some compatible with Star Wars Destiny character boards, which you can see a couple here if you're watching, or if you're listening, I'll describe them. Essentially, it's got a slot for where your character goes. If you
also, if you're listening or if you're watching, please keep in mind these are prototypes.
These are not all these things I'm giving away here are prototypes. They're cool though. I mean, they do have an... Anyway, so calm down. So it has a slot for your character card, and then it's got slots that fit our Saga tokens that are compatible with Destiny for shields and damage over on the side. And it's also got slots for dice.
That's right.
And it's a pretty handy way. I've been using the ones from Masters. It really cleans up the board. Probably my favorite part is it takes the tokens off of the character.
Yes.
So a lot of times when you're playing, you have dice on a character, and you've got all your tokens on a character. And before long, like you just see that and not the actual card with the beautiful art.
Very similar to the Arkham compatible boards that we've been doing.
Yeah.
They kind of keep stuff arranged, and since it's so character-centric, it works very nicely. It's like a little like heads-up display.
Yeah. So we have 2 of these boards. There's a yellow one and a gray one, and neither of these are final. They're also not probably going to be the color we actually end up using.
That's correct.
So these will be pretty unique. And what we're going to do is on next week's episode, so we record the podcast typically on a Wednesday. On next week's episode, we're going to randomly pick Star Wars Destiny Booster Box subscribers, and we're going to send these boards to them.
Okay.
So if you're signed up for one of those, if you're unfamiliar, you sign up. We automatically send you booster boxes when new sets come out. And you don't get charged until like a week or 2 before the set comes out. And
you don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it. So then the thing about Destiny is it's kind of in a weird spot. They haven't been talking about it.
Right, yeah.
It's been pretty quiet. But it's still slated, the next set's Across the Galaxy, and it's still slated to come out in Q4. We're in Q4 now. So that could be at any point. So if you want to just kind of guarantee you get that stuff without having to worry about it, we'll be sending some boards to some subscribers. On the same note, all these contests are going to work the same way. So next Wednesday, before the podcast is recorded, you need to be signed up for a subscription to one of these games to have a chance to win these things. The next thing is Keyforge, another game that we are just super excited about.
Yeah.
We have prototypes here for our compatible tokens that we will, crossing my fingers, be announcing in the near future.
Very near future.
And
we've already talked about the fact that we have the Amber tokens.
We did. We talked about that on the podcast.
Okay, because they're all going to be
You're like,
unique.
what have we said?
Yeah.
What have we not said?
Yeah, they're going to be unique.
Yeah, so basically,
we've been working on that, on the actual programming for that, the programming design, whatever.
How to actually make that happen and make all the tokens look good.
We've got them all through, and that's actually pretty locked in. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, you're currently, I see some final...
I got basically one token to finish to get like locked down.
To feel good about it? So Jonathan and I are going to be, after the show's over, basically going through his desk and putting together a bag of these prototype tokens that are for Keyforge.
Yes.
And we will be sending that to one of our Keyforge display subscribers. Just like Destiny, you sign up. We're expecting that to come out in November. So a week or 2 before it comes out, you'll see a charge show up. You'll get an email. You'll automatically receive a display, which is a box of 12 decks.
Yep.
And that'll be that. So if you want to win some pretty, I would say, rare prototype tokens.
I mean, they're not going to be run again, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But we're going to be sending that to one of our subscribers, and
Could be me.
Me
signed up
too.
for
I
Keyforge
also signed up. That's why last week we were doing the X-Wing one, and I was like, what happens if you pull my name?
Right.
And it's like, please don't, actually. That would be hilarious.
That'd be hilarious.
And then last but not least, we have Warhammer Champions. We have these wooden tokens that I'm not going to say what they are, or how we're going to use them, or if we're going to sell them, or if we're going to give them away in another way. Hint.
A lot of question marks
There are questions, but there's this pile of these like beautiful looking wooden tokens.
Yeah.
And we are going to be choosing one of our Warhammer Champions booster box subscribers to send a certain amount of these to.
Yeah.
It's going to be greater than 1 or 2, but it's going to be less than 100. So
And for
we'll
anyone
figure that out.
who's ordered tokens from us before, one of the big benefits of these prototypes is they've already been peeled.
That's right.
You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, there's a protective peel on especially the acrylics that we leave on because they can get scratched and shipping and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things people note when they get them for the first time.
Because it does take a while to get them.
Oh man, I have to peel these things.
Believe me, I know.
But again, I mean, the response to all this has been amazing. I'm particularly excited about the starter giveaways. That's something I think we're going to continue because we can't give everyone that plays a free starter. But I think yet. We've talked about that. Like there was that's just not a yeah. See, we're crazy. But the response from all this, like we really do appreciate everyone that's listening, watching. That's a subscriber. That's what literally allows us to do everything we do. From the learning series content to help grow the community, to our subscriptions and our products and this content, the podcasts we're making, the live streams. Without our subscribers, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Sure.
So we really appreciate it, and we're going to keep trying to find ways to, just say thanks. We really appreciate it, and hopefully these prototype tokens are one small way we can do it. So again, recap: sign up for one of those subscriptions by next Wednesday morning.
Next Wednesday morning.
Central Time.
Central Time.
We record in the
Morning
afternoon
Central Time.
on Wednesday, typically.
So
Tuesday is safe.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut it off because if it's Wednesday morning and you're asking the question, then you're still...
Yeah, just sign up.
Just sign up. For Destiny, Keyforge, or Warhammer Champions box/display/box subscription. And we're going to be picking those next week and sending some prototype products and tokens and who knows what all else.
Hope you guys dig it.
Okay, so there's a lot going on.
There's more going on?
Well, besides the giveaways, just in like gaming and tabletop.
All right, okay.
So the first thing is, this past Friday, Transformers the TCG came out.
Yes, it did. It came out to no fanfare whatsoever.
That's not true. What do you mean by no fanfare? So
it was as if there was this giant awesome robot, and instead a car just parked in the parking lot.
And it's like, hey, there's a robot here.
It hasn't transformed. Yeah, it hasn't transformed.
So
it's just being a car.
It's worth you may not have this context completely.
I have very little context.
Always. But you may not have this context, which is that Wizards announced, Steve and I talked about last week on the episode, the fact that they're going to start selling directly through Amazon.
Yes, that's correct.
A limited amount of supply. There's a whole post about it. I think we linked it in last week's episode. And one, that's just kind of an ongoing like Wizards thing. This is a Wizards product. But Transformers came out, and it's so weird. I feel like this and Warhammer Champions are both these like big IPs, especially Warhammer in the gaming universe, but big IPs with a game coming out that like a lot of people just have no idea about. We streamed Transformers on Monday, and you can catch that on Facebook and YouTube, the archive of it. But like people were on the stream like, a Transformers game? I didn't know this was happening. This? Yeah. And it's like, how does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, it really was just like both of them, more or less, were just kind of picked up at Gen Con as we were running through the floor. There wasn't like, it wasn't any of those lists, hey, what's this big thing you're looking forward to?
Part of that is that Wizards just doesn't go to Gen Con.
Fair enough.
So the demos were being done by a different retail outlet.
Okay.
Because they basically, outside of tournaments, because they have Magic tournaments and stuff, but like outside of tournaments, like they don't have a booth.
Oh, okay.
If you didn't know that,
I tangentially didn't know that. I wasn't like.
I think you kind of knew it.
I didn't like know it as like I know the politics of how and why and like all that. I just
I don't know that there's much politicking going on, but maybe
always some stuff going on.
It came out Friday, and this was kind of one game. The system is super simple.
Yeah.
And we played it. Actually, we streamed it at Gen Con. We had a pretty good time with it.
We did.
But we were using the starter, and that's all that was out. It was the
Autobots
same starter.
versus Autobots.
Yeah.
There wasn't even like Autobots versus
Yeah, and a lot of those cards, looking back,
many have been
like
said.
the Transformers are like pretty simple.
Yeah.
In the starter, which is
As it
it
should
makes
be,
sense,
yeah.
kind of thing. But it came out Friday, and this is a game we were very curious. Particularly, I was curious. I had a subscription, and I got my box in on Friday, and I painstakingly waited till Monday to open it on stream, which I paid off because I ended up getting Bumblebee. Which I was
which is
excited
the
about.
one you wanted.
But the thing is, it was a kind of game that was kind of wait and see, and it reminded me of Destiny a lot in that way. In that, like, I played Destiny, it was like that was fun, but I don't know if this is my game, right? You know, that it's worth like it's super. The question mark for me is depth.
Sure.
If it's too simple and too easy, then eventually it won't be fun.
Right.
Like it's too straight. It's like
You'll
checkers
solve
to
it
this point,
or whatever,
right?
yeah.
It's like, okay, I get it. Don't move your back row. We're fine. Sweet. But we got it, and we actually streamed it on Monday. And we just had one box. We split it open, me and Steven on stream, and we built decks using those cards, and we had a great time.
Yeah, came down to the very last flip of the card. I was using my precious cellular data to listen to the game.
That's fun.
So I was enticed for whatever reason. But yeah, you had basically, if you pulled one more shield card, you would have survived the next round and likely killed Steven. If you pulled one less, or if you didn't pull it, then your character would die, game over.
Yeah.
So, and you flip it, boom.
Nothing.
And that's the fun of Transformers,
Yeah,
honestly.
and I think that's what it's random enough. Like, I won't say random. It's got the like Hail Mary thing in the same way that I think Champions does with the blessings, where there's these like big moments that like could turn a tide.
Okay.
They don't have to turn a tide, but they can.
Yeah.
Because when we were playing on stream back at Gen Con, that was we had a couple games in a row where it like came down to this last series of draws.
Yeah.
I remember one where it's like I needed one more to win and I missed, and then you needed one more to win and you missed, and then I needed one more to win and I hit.
Yeah.
And it's just like this like crazy slug, right? But I had a lot of fun. I did some trading here locally. I have a couple decks together. That's a game I'm at least interested to keep exploring a little bit.
Right.
And seeing where I get. And I also saw they announced, we put it up on the store, but they announced the Metroplex starter, or that showed up online, which is...
What's that?
Metroplex is a transforming city.
Oh!
His card is like this big.
Even bigger than the
Yes.
big
Because he's 25 points. And he's your entire list.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And he's just wild. And it's a starter. So what I'm hoping that means is that they're going to keep... they do this with Pokemon, but they keep putting out more starters and pre-made decks. So I'm hopeful that they, along with boosters and stuff, keep giving people these like $10 to $15 entry points.
That's cool.
That are fully playable decks, and hopefully they're good.
Yeah.
Because I think that potentially gives you kind of the best of the like Keyforge world, but also the best of the collectible world.
Yes. The pick up and play, I think, is really is worth it. It's worth doing. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, right? Keyforge is doing it with every deck is pick up and play.
Yeah.
But if you have the starters, you can just be like, hey, buy this and let's go.
Well, and I think that's, talking about ideal format, it's like, when Keyforge comes out, I'm curious to see if that's too restrictive. That has an appeal to it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, if you can pick up for $15 and play, and it's good enough to play,
Yeah.
but then also, like, you can also customize to whatever you like, that also seems appealing on a certain level. So we'll see, but that's still a game that I'm curious to play more of. We'll probably stream it again at some point soon, but it came out.
Yeah.
And now in other news that is potentially more applicable to you,
Me?
is that the Champions boxes came in.
Yeah, they did. Not only did they come in, but we ripped through ours. Just tore through it. So we're doing this thing where it's Zach and Steven and Robert and I.
Yep.
And we went 4 ways in on a box. And then whenever the box comes in, we open it all up. We give each of us is playing a singular faction. And then
4 different factions. You can't mix the factions.
Yeah, and there was a couple neutrals, but it was fine. We all knew what we needed at that point.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about Champions for me, if you'll allow it, is that it's got the app.
Unallowed.
It's got the app so that I can, in my free time, I can play games of it with my destruction deck. But more importantly, I now have such a much better knowledge of just orc cards in general, or destruction cards in general, that when I'm getting stuff I'm not reading, it's like, oh, there's that thing I saw. I still don't know the other factions cards. That's fine. Then you guys do whatever. But at least I saw a card I hadn't seen before, which is like the pouncing wolf or whatever. And I was like, this is cool.
Wolves?
And I was like, yeah, oh yeah. And I was like reading it, and it was really neat. And I was like, I can't wait to put that. I'm really excited I have the physical version of that to put in my wacky physical card, my wacky physical deck, and I may even, and that's the cool thing. Now I can scan it
and also have it in your own.
And at least like play with it online and like get used to it, and then kind of have that sort of, I don't know. It's just I feel so much more prepared with Champions than I have with any other card game ever.
Well, and I think it's important to just note that like a lot of times you get excited about a game and then you kind of get left behind.
Yes.
Because
I don't have the free time.
Well, and it's just the kind of thing where like we obsess over it. Steve and I might dive head first, and then we're a month in, and then by the time you're playing, it's there's not a parity.
Sure.
But I think that's what with the app. I'm excited to see in the next 5-10 years how this all shakes out.
Yeah.
But I think Warhammer Champions is doing this nice balancing act between providing an easily accessible experience to try the game and to get some experience into, like you're you're getting to play because you have 30 minutes at the evening, in the evening or after your walk bogey to just get a couple games in, which means you're not being left behind. It also means you're more familiar when you actually get the physical cards.
Yes.
And so the grand question for me is, because I do think there's an immense value to the physical playing of a game and playing with other people.
Yes, I think,
obviously,
I agree.
Like that's what we do.
Right.
But my question is, in the long run, is the net effect of this technological integration more or less physical time?
Right.
And I mean, it's the reality of like I think just watching the local store and being a part of the community. It's like most people get 2 to 4 nights a month where they get to hang out and play games. Like that's the average.
Yeah.
There's people that play a lot more. There's people that play once a month, once a quarter kind of a thing. But I have a feeling that for the people that only get to play 2 or 3 or 4 times a month, the app is going to make it where they can play 20 times a month.
Yes.
And they're more likely to play the 3 or 4 times a month.
Because they don't feel behind.
Because of all the other activities.
Right. I'm much more ready to jump into a tournament at any point, if I had the time to do it on Champions than I have with anything else. Like I can go home and I can build my deck with like a certain amount of knowledge, which I've not even net run it. I built a couple of decks, but it was like didn't know what was going on. Like now I know. It's just I wish I had better words to describe it, but it's a night and day difference, and that's very, very.
It's been helpful to you.
It's been very helpful to me, and I think the bet that we make. And I mean, if we're wrong about this, we may as well just go ahead and pack up. So hopefully we're right about it. But it's that if you give people all of the, basically tear down all the barriers and even give them a digital version of a physical activity, right? And Steven and I talked about this in the Presence podcast, is that people by and large will still gravitate towards that physical activity more often. Just because they're with people, they're doing it physically. I mean, you could argue. I think a good argument can be made that the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games created a lot of skaters. Potentially, the Guitar Hero games created some guitarists, or at least the Guitar Hero games you saw it evolved into the Garage Band, where you get your friends together. Sure. Now, if we wanted to go into the Presence thing, I've been studying it out, and I've got some interesting stuff about it.
Give me an interesting stuff.
All right, I'll give you an interesting stuff. So. I haunt the old Reddit r/science all the time, and I read the headlines, and I like to pretend I'm smart.
You haunt it like a
ghost.
Haunt it,
yeah. But one stuck out to me the other day, which is this research. I think it was out of Harvard, but I don't know. And it was talking about more like basically people know now that like extended social media use causes depression and anxiety and loneliness, and now they're trying to figure out why. So the interesting thing that they just came up with, that they just saw, is that Facebook is arranged in such a way where if you look at it and you see a friend of yours, this is like ideal Facebook, right? So not your uncle arguing with somebody about insane politics, but like a couple of friends of yours, they post something and then there's a response and they're all having a good time. And I think the same can be said with group text as well, is that the way that makes people feel when they see that is as if their friends are having a conversation that excludes them. So it's like you found out later on that your friends were all hanging out without you. It triggers those same kind of emotions.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are standing around in a circle and they're having that exact same conversation, but you're in the circle, that doesn't happen.
Or if you walk up and that's happening.
And you walk up and that's happening, they say, hey, come in, right. Instead of like you seeing it from afar.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I just thought it's very interesting. I think it's a step towards the answers that we're looking for in this idea of presence.
Yeah.
That's a quick version.
That's a quick.
That's just to throw it out
we'll
there.
revisit. Right?
Anyone who's still thinking about that, that's to put that on your old on the barbecue.
Just real quick as well, as a destruction player.
Yeah.
Have you been playing ranked games on the old Champs app?
I haven't started because the 5 games is it's too much for me to do at this point.
You don't have to do them all at once.
I guess not, but yeah, I've probably played 5 games in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, well, I'll wait till next week to ask Steven about his thoughts on the destruction orc balance or not.
Well, I just think, and I've talked to Steven about this, I think that, man, see, I've got all these like crazier ideas, which is, this is going to derail the whole thing.
That's all right, we're here to talk.
First of all, I think that digital format, particularly what Champions has, is ideal for playtesting. Right? And I've thought this for a long time because you can throw the new cards out, you can watch what happens, you can change them on an hourly basis if you want to. I think that potentially one of the rewards for being ranked in the top 100, let's say, is that you get access to that because those are the most competitive people and those are the people who are going to find it. However, what happens, as far as I can tell, and I've never play tested before, is that when people play test, they don't try to break the game as hard as they do when there's actually something on the line.
Sure.
And here's what I was thinking about the other day. I don't think cash prizes have any place in tabletop games. However, I think that they have a very strong place in playtesting.
So it's like the winner, the person who breaks the game,
give them $100.
Gets a reward.
After 2 weeks, whoever is first place gets $100 because they're doing work, right? Now they're incentivized to go as hard as they can to break this game instead of just being like, hey, please try to break this game. Well, and I say this because like there was a time whenever I was creating a game back in high school, and we play tested it like no other. And then we had a friend come in who hadn't play tested it before, and he just wrecked all of us because all of us were playing in a weird way where we didn't want to play too hard and mess up our faction that we loved.
Yeah.
And he had no such,
That's so
whatever.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, my spin on that is, and they didn't do this necessarily. Obviously, it's a source of immense data for them.
Yeah.
They get to see all these games, who's winning, what cards are winning, etc. But the reality is that something like an X-Wing, as an example, building into a physical game something that can change that's not physical.
Sure.
I think is so important.
Yeah, like what X-Wing 2.0 did.
Yeah, like if the Champions point cost, as an example, in Champions, was not on the card, and you had to reference the app because you already got the app. Like the app is there. I think that gives you so much, because like the truth is, no matter how many playtesters you have, I don't know who said it, but it was some magic thing, and it was like in the first day of a set being out, more games get played than in all of playtesting.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah.
When you have enough players happening, right? If you have 100,000 players playing your game, the first day might see 200,000 games happening.
Yeah.
And if that happens, that's more than you can get 30 people to do any 10 years, right?
Sure.
So the thing about that to me is like, understand that a body of 100,000 people is more effective than 30 specific people. Right? At that kind of a task, like grinding out 1 million results. So I don't know why game companies aren't leaning into that more.
Just like doing huge.
We have technology, right?
Yeah,
and it's like,
we can build it.
The thing about it that is required is you have to be able to build the technology, and you also have to be able to build it into your game. So X-Wing's perfect because of the point cost and the upgrade slots. Destiny's perfect because of the point cost on the characters. Champions could work because of the point cost on the thing. Where it's like you don't necessarily, Radis, there's a reason errata isn't great.
Right.
A card doing something that it doesn't say is inherently against the whole point of having the physical thing.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, if your game is set up where a major balancing factor is a point cost you can change on a character that starts on the board, as an example, immediately, right? Like that's a huge tool. But like at this point with Champions, the only way they could really leverage that is kind of like you're saying, which is give the top players access to stuff early.
Yeah.
But that's where it's like, why would you not release the whole set early online?
I actually do think that's very interesting.
Because it's like, let that go for a month. It's like a special league. You go to play for a month, and then we're going to take the cards away. Right? And then we're going to print it. And then when it actually comes back out of print, it's going to be back on the app, kind of a thing. Yeah. Sure. That's my point, though, is that like 10,000 people doing something is way better than 5.
And you can throw it at 10,000 people with an app like that.
That's what's crazy. So there's a lot of possibilities there. So excited to see that. And then let's see.
We wrapped that up all right.
Well, yeah, we did. We leveraged around. So I want to note some things on Keyforge as well. I saw FFG they did a live stream on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
Crazily enough.
Live stream.
And they're giving away some decks. So if you want, check that out. If you want to get your hands on some decks early. Cool. We've also got some things in the works. So stay tuned there.
We do?
Yeah, we've been streaming on Mondays at 4.
Yes.
And so I don't know if we'll be
Central time.
streaming Keyforge Central Time. That's important to know. Yeah, London time is like 10 p.m. But Central Time. So I don't know what we're doing on Monday, but it probably will be Keyforge, if I had to guess.
Oh, really?
Maybe not. Who knows? It's up in the air. Could be Transformers for all I know, or Champions if I know anything about Steven at all.
You know, he's like the number 1 or number 3 order player. I don't know what he is with a ranked system now, but when it was back in casual.
I don't know.
That guy
he got a lot of games
going
in
crazy on that
very quickly.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me make sure there's no more news I'm missing. Anything else?
So you're saying to watch the stream on Monday because there may be something that they could win? Is that what you were insinuating?
I don't know what's going to happen Monday.
Okay.
I just know that there's Keyforge plans in the works, and we'll see where that lands. So if you're excited about Keyforge like we are, stay tuned.
Yeah, all right.
Because you weren't going to anyway,
We'll take
guess.
it.
And then anything else? You talked to me about your dog. Anything else this week notable for you before we dive into questions?
I saw a bobcat.
On your land?
Yeah, on my land.
So it's crazy. How long have you owned this land?
Less than a year. It'll be a
late?
year in November.
So you're going on almost a year.
Yeah.
I still haven't graced the sight of the
No,
land.
that's true.
But the more I hear about it, the more I'm thinking, I don't know if I ever want to. It's like, you got bit by a snake, saw a bobcat, and like next week you're going to come back and you say, we had a lion on the property.
We've got a ton of tarantulas out there.
That's terrifying. See, look, I'm telling
I
you.
saw one laying eggs on the ground the other day.
That
It was
is
pretty cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, Leah doesn't like it, but I think they're pretty cool.
But tarantulas aren't like
No, they're
dangerous.
fun. They can be your pet if you like to chill with it.
Yeah, but like they are unlikely to kill you.
Oh, extremely unlikely to kill you. I don't even think their bite is like worth anything. I think it's like a
That's
wasp
great.
thing.
Yeah, it's the little like tiny little spiders that will end your life.
The brown recluse, which I got bit by.
Not
I think,
in the land.
Not recent.
That's just
Not in the
being
land.
nosy.
That was on my parents' land. Black widow. And fiddleback, which is the same as black.
They're all relatively small,
brown
right?
recluse. Yeah, they're relatively small. And I think they're web-free spiders. I don't know if that's right or not, but web-free spiders obviously have to have a stronger bite because they have to
survive.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone correct me.
Well, that's
that's it.
Good to know.
I was hanging out. I was coming in from the pasture at night, and then the dog started growling, and I was like, "What's going on?"
And it's a
it
hairy
barked.
old tarantula.
No, it was a bobcat. And
the
I
worst.
looked, and then I just saw a little like tail move, and then it like stalked off like a cat, and then we ran after it because that's what we do.
Country folk with gun in hand. Just kidding. So for me, one thing that was exciting, as you can tell, I've got my grandma sweater back, which means the weather's kind of turning.
Yes, it is.
Although yesterday it was very cold in the office, and then I went outside and it was like 80s, and I was in it like this, and I was like, oh my goodness, like it's hot. But what that also meant is this past weekend, I've been over the past 6 to 8 months pretty busy, wedding, moving, business trips, etc. And I'm not as busy now.
Good. That's a nice time.
So like this weekend, had brunch with some friends. That was great. You weren't there. Sad story. You were invited though, so don't have those sad hormones triggering.
I actually don't get that at all. That's one of the things. I don't know if it makes me weird, but like, at least in the last 5 years, I've never felt left out. Like whenever people are like doing something, I don't get the FOMO. My wife does, but I'm just like, great. I'm glad people are having a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm just like so tired, but we'll see. Anyhow, so yeah,
Well,
you guys have brunch.
You would actually probably be more relieved if they didn't invite you.
Yeah.
It's like because you don't feel this obligation to
That's
show
100% correct.
Yeah, it's like it's why I don't ever invite you to anything.
Appreciate that.
Just kidding. Am I kidding? Is this passive aggression? What's going on? But also, what happened is I went for the first time in a long time my first paint day.
Oh,
So
paint day.
in the store we have a once a month Saturday paint day, and our local paint crew is awesome. Some of my
I've
favorite
heard that.
people. We go to breakfast. There's a place across the street called First Watch. They do breakfast. We have
Pretty good
breakfast and
breakfast.
coffee. It's really good. Their waffles are. We have breakfast. We walk over. We all have our stuff we're painting, and it's been like 8 to 10 months since I've painted on a paint day, and I enjoy it. I don't enjoy gluing or filing, but past that, I'm a fan.
What all did you paint?
Well, I did a couple things. So first thing is, again, the paint crew is awesome. So James and Tim, my brother Tim, not James isn't my brother. My brother Tim and a friend James are both super helpful. They had airbrushes.
Nice.
And they have airbrush primer. So I had these 2 old Knight models that are Luke and Vader in these like really epic poses. And I also had previously done all the modeling work on, so there's a game called Arena Rex.
Yes. pause on Arena Rex real quick. I just want to say, like,
I was seeing a line I couldn't move.
I just want to say that if you're out there and you enjoy miniatures games and you enjoy putting together models, Arena Rex is probably one of the best games you're going to come across. I love it.
So it's like a gladiatorial game.
Yeah.
You have like the Romans and the Greeks and the Egyptians.
Yeah, it's alternate history. The Vikings and the Native Americans have got together, which is awesome.
Native Americans seem cool.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about this game is they have incredibly elaborate models that are incredibly difficult to put together.
Yes.
But you also only need 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
And the game is it's kind of like Destiny or Transformers. It's this very like simple system, and it's not trying to overdo it.
No, but the puzzles are always there.
Yeah, it's very abstract. And a lot of miniatures games, you have the big tome rule book that's very granular, right? It's like there's a rule for like throwing a rock or like tripping over a fountain.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like complete opposite, which is why it appealed to us, right? You only need 4-ish models. And the models are epic, right? That's the other thing is like your models are always like super cool. But Septimus is the main character from the Roman faction that I play that I like a lot. And there's a regular version of him, which is cool. And then there's a Septimus on Nero, which is a bull. And so I have been doing the modeling work on the bull because he didn't quite fit together correctly.
Okay.
So you take green stuff and you fill in the holes and you're basically smoothing it so that when you prime it, it looks like a flat surface, right? And I had done that a long time ago.
Okay.
But I hadn't done the next step, which is priming Septimus and that kind of thing. But there's a technique for priming that basically it's this, there's a name for it. Sorry for anyone listening who knows. But they primed it for me in this excellent way that makes my job way easier to paint it, which I'm very excited about.
I mean, is it just spraying it?
No, it's basically you prime it black.
Okay.
And then from the angle you want the light hitting, you prime white.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And then when you're painting, so the white is usually when you're painting, you paint up.
Right.
So you paint up to the highlight, right? So all the shading.
You do paint up.
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
So you can't start with the white on the, so like, okay, as an example, Vader.
Right.
He's mainly a black figure, right? But if you look at a picture of him, most of him is not black.
Right, there's a lot
like
of
the highlight, the highest point on his cape is white.
Sure.
On like a fold that comes out.
Yeah.
And it goes gray all the way down to where the shadow is, where it's actually black. And so typically what you do is you'll paint, and the last thing you do is add the white. And so this is actually doing the opposite, where you add the white first, and then use really thin layers of paint. So that like if it's white from where the light's coming in, and I use on Vader as an example, I use a thin layer of black. Then I cover the whole thing in a thin layer of black, right? And then I take a shade up, right? And then instead of covering the whole thing, I cover a smaller fraction of it, and a smaller fraction, and a smaller fraction. And it is like the inverse way of painting, and it's way easier. And someone kind of figured this out, right? And it's
good.
like, So anyways, that helped me out. I did Luke and Vader. It's Luke from Return of the Jedi with his lightsaber like behind his head.
Oh, nice.
So and he's in the black outfit.
Yeah.
And it's Vader who's doing this crazy epic thing. So they both have a similar scheme,
right?
And then I'm painting up from black, and that's what I painted mostly. But I have Septimus and Nero like ready to paint, and I'm very excited to paint Septimus because he is. I've been painting a ton of Star Wars. Between Legion and Imperial Assault, it's like stormtroopers and snowtroopers for days. So I'm ready to paint something with some flair and like color,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, some actual like stuff to put in
and I also
details.
There's a painter in the UK named Adam Alderwood who painted all of my snowtroopers in Legion for me. I traded him some Destiny cards that I wasn't using, and he painted my snowtroopers. And I did that. Like I said, I enjoy painting, and I was nervous to do that because I wanted to have stuff to paint. I love snowtroopers.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, would I rather paint 40 snowtroopers or spend all of my paint days painting the epic people, right? And it's like I would way rather spend my time really going crazy on Vader and Luke and Septimus and stuff.
Yeah.
But I did that, and I also, the other thing worth mentioning is that we have the early access kit for Godtear.
We do.
Which is a game I forget is coming, and then I'm reminded by it, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm casually interested. And it has the like, what do you call it? The,
I'd love to have big metal pieces.
No, what's the name of the game we were just talking about? Arena Rex.
Arena Rex, yeah.
I kept saying Legion in my head, and it's like, it's not Legion, it's not Legion. There was an old game, Arcane Legion, that had the Roman soldiers.
Oh yeah, it was actually one of our early
That's
Gen
why I was
Con
saying
videos.
Legion in my head, but yeah, that game went under like crazy.
2006 or something?
Don't. Well, you can go look at the video, but you don't have to. Anyways, so I was reminded that this was happening, and then I remember we had the kit, and I was in the paint mode, and I was kind of waiting. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see. It's really funny. I texted you. I was like, hey, where's our Godtear stuff? He's like, ask John. And I texted John. And John's like, I was like, hey, where's our Godtear stuff? I was like, hey, ask Kira. And Kira's like, oh, it's on my desk. And it's like, man, this was telephone before telephone was invented. So I came back, and now Kira had put together these models in less than a day. When they first came in.
All we had asked is we just need to be able to play with these things. Yeah.
So as I was inspecting it, man, I had a hoot because it must have been a whole container of glue used on these models. I literally couldn't, I still can't. So check this out. You leave a model in alcohol, and it's supposed to break down the glue and like make it weak so you can break the parts off and snap the glue off. There's one guy with paint or glue all the way down his front. It's like if I primed this, there would be zero details. It would just be a flat surface. But Thangosh, who's one of my...
Rangosh,
not Thangosh. There's Thagrosh was like a Legion model. That Legion again, when I used to play Hordes. Anyways, Rangosh is epic. I'm a huge fan of Rangosh in that game. So I wanted to start working on him. I was like, well, I'm just waiting. I may as well start filing and priming and all this.
Right.
But I get this model, and it's like there's so much glue. I can't even begin to explain it. So I leave them in alcohol over the weekend. And there is actually the middle piece of Rangosh where like his legs attached to his body. And I cannot get it off. Like I can't pull that model apart. Because there is that much glue.
Nice.
So I'm just leaving it. You can't really see that particular glue.
Sure.
And that's fine. Like it's never going to come apart, ever, unless you melt it down. And the glue would be left.
Well, and it is quickly worth noting that the final Godtear models will be single piece PVC or whatever. Just the whole, like the resin models.
They
but the early access was
metal.
Put it together. Yeah, we can get this metal stuff out super fast.
And they're different sculpts. They're a little crazier.
I guess that's true.
The ones from the Kickstarter art, that's one of the things we really like about that game is that they're pre-assembled. No, I hate, like I said earlier at the top, I hate that. That's the least favorite part is gluing. So that's gone. Great. And it has the benefit of like Arena Rex, where you only need a handful of
that's
pieces
right. Plus it's hex based, which actually I like quite a bit.
But all that said, I was so happy to get back in that, and I had to be careful because like GW just put out this Battle of Pelennor Field Lord of the Rings game. They have Lord of the Rings. They've had Lord of the Rings license forever. There was this old Witch King model I wanted really bad for that game, but it's like $180 or something for that one model. But the Pelennor Fields thing is $150 for a 2-player game and a nice book, all these models, and one of them is Witch King of Fell Beast. So I was tempted, and in the height of my like paintspiration, right, I was like, oh, I could get this. It's like I was back, and it's like I came back.
Right.
I was like, wait a second. Let's paint the models I got.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
paint what you got.
If I'm looking like those are gonna happen, then I will maybe indulge myself.
Do not succumb to the desire cycle.
Man, it was strong.
Yeah.
It was strong.
Yeah. It's always more fun to chase new stuff than to mess with the stuff you have. That's just how human beings are.
Play. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I have on my desk the Septimus and Nero and stuff, and so I'm really looking forward to getting paint on
When you say your desk, you don't have a desk.
Well, I kind of do. I used to have a desk over there. Yeah. I have a space
now you're like roving.
Here, and then I usually just work out there.
Okay.
But there's a space where I have stuff that collects.
All right, fair enough.
It's got to go somewhere. Yeah. So, all right, you ready to get into some questions?
Yeah, let's get into some questions.
If you're unfamiliar, you can use the hashtag askcovenant on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We answer your questions right here on the show, and we are very grateful that there are enough people asking questions for us to be able to do this. So question number 1 is from Jim Soder. He specifically calls me out, but we will both answer.
I'll just set this one out.
Yeah, I'll tag you out on this one. He asks, which is better, Warhammer Champions, Keyforge, or the Transformers TCG?
Oh, my.
That's an impossible question to ask. I mean, that's it's like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison. It's like, is an Oreo or a chocolate chip cookie better? I don't know. I like them both.
Well, it's honestly like asking, which is better, like Mexican food, Italian food, or
like a hammer or a wrench.
Yeah.
And it's like, it really depends. I think they're all very fun, and they're going to appeal to very different kinds of players. So I'm just going to hit like my favorite parts of each of the games.
Sure.
And we have learning series for all these games on the website. If you want to learn more, there's a ton of information there, and you can kind of decide which one's for you. But I think each of these games is going to the mileage is going to vary based on you and who you play with.
I really think it's worth emphasizing that point, that if you're on the fence, it's worth at least watching the what is videos for each of these, because that's what they're for, and seeing if any of them gel with you.
Yeah, so the first chapter of every one of those learning series is what is this game? How does, like that, just basic understanding. So Warhammer Champions, my favorite bit, and I would be curious to get yours as well.
Yes, I'm happy to answer
My
this.
favorite bit is the fact that it removes resources and it replaces it with the management of time.
Yep.
So it's action economy versus economy.
Yep.
And the problem I have with economy, like in a lot of old games, like the Thrones LCG, is that it is essentially a coupled system where if you don't draw your economy, you're now behind in the other part of the game. And so that literally is just, do you draw this card or not? It's not about, did you manage your resources better, right? And I prefer me managing my stuff versus you managing your stuff to be the game, versus this other element as well.
Right.
So it removes that. I don't think it's necessary. I think games are getting away from resources.
Yeah, it seems to be that's the case.
I think is really cool.
I would say Warhammer Champions appeals very much if you're a tower defense person. I think Steven said this on the What Is It, or maybe a podcast, but that's really stuck with me, because what you do, you got 4 lanes, you put out what ostensibly would be a tower, and then it does damage for a certain amount, it does a thing for a certain amount of time, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
So you have to plan ahead. You kind of, once you have stuff out there, you kind of watch it do its thing, which is really neat, right? Like without you having to be like, oh, I trigger this here, I trigger this here.
It forces your, like, as an opponent, you have to respond to it. Whereas, like, there's no, like, I cancel your thing, or
Right.
I'm interrupting
There's no
your
out of
turn.
hand
It's like you play your
cancels.
thing and I see it's happening.
Yeah.
And I have to deal with
And
it.
then, and it's like, well, all right, this is coming. I know, like, there's not a lot of surprises. So if you're like into building machines, I think Warhammer does a very good job at that.
It's a building game.
It's a building game, and it's you can really play. And this is what's been good for me, is you don't really have to know what the other person has. Like, I play Destruction, but like, if you just put out your stuff to the best of your ability, like, it's gonna work out. Like, obviously, if there's a champion that says, this, if you're across from this champion, you do 2 less from your spells, don't put your caster there, right? Yeah. Read the cards, but still, you don't really necessarily like have to worry about, is there some sort of crazy thing that's going on that I may not know about? You can just do your stuff. Now, removal gets a little bit weird, but...
And I think that's just part of the reality of, like, you don't need to know what it does until it's on the board.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Because most stuff doesn't really do its thing until it's been on the board for a while. So, like, the way the game is structured is helpful in that way.
And the stuff that comes out of people's hands is not ultimately that powerful. It's basically removal or up to 3 damage. There's a orc one that's like 5, but like it's roughly 2 to 3 damage that's coming out of people's hands, or removal. Yeah,
and the game starts you in a place where, like, you can't just lose the game up front. Right? Like, you have enough health that, like, even if your opponent just busts down and does 5 from their hand, it's like...
And there's even, honestly, I mean, I think there should be something that's said about there's a lot of really neat damage reduction cards. Yeah. So if you get scared, you can throw up some
scared.
Yeah, you can throw up some shields. Yeah, and just be like, hey, come
so
down.
I think, if you're looking at this game, all of these games are actually pretty simple. Like, the structure of the game and the complexity comes in the cards, which is good. But Champions is definitely good. It's a fresh take on this kind of game.
Yeah, and it does feel a little netrunnery, so if you're more in that. And then also, I mean, you can't talk about Champions without talking about the app, which is free, and you could download it right now and play it after watching the video and see if you like it or not. And their starter decks are actually really good.
Keyforge. I think Keyforge comparatively is kind of a tempo game. So I think my favorite part of it is it's not about damage at all.
That's true.
So you're not trying to hurt your opponent. You're not trying to get them to 0. You're both trying to basically, it's like capture the flag, or it's almost like a, what are those called?
I wish I knew.
It's just like a treasure hunt.
You're gathering. It's not hunting, it's gathering, right?
Yeah.
So like most of the other games you've ever come across in your life are about hunting.
That's totally right.
Yeah, this is about gathering.
So like Warhammer Champions is like, I need to go defeat you to deal damage to you, whereas this isn't that at all. You can attack your opponent, but like you can also not ever. And it's very simple. I think the most notable thing about Keyforge is the format. Supremely affordable.
Yes.
Like, you can pay $10 once and play the game forever.
Very low barrier of entry. You pay $10 and you have a deck that is going to be pretty decent. Yeah. The couple downsides is that there are some really punishing out of hand cards. So watch out for that.
Sure.
Other than that, like,
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's like I said, it's my wife really enjoys it, and I know a lot of other people talk about their wives enjoying Keyforge in particular. The art style is very nice. And it's gathering.
Nice. And you know, I will say, like, just comparing them, it's also, you know, Warhammer forever kept me out because it is so grim and dark and and so it's not that at all.
Right.
It's kind of fantastical, and there are, you know, Brobnar's a little smashy, but like for the most part, it's not that at all.
Yeah.
So the theme is also just a fresh vibe.
And really worth noting on last thing on Keyforge, it is really, a lot of people are orienting on the fact that it's not about building a deck, but they're missing the fact that it's about learning a deck in a way that's like really profound. Like you really do get better the more you play a deck, and the more you play your deck. So it's kind of like Pokemon, I guess.
Finally,
like the game.
Yeah, exactly, like your team and stuff.
Yeah.
Transformers TCG is last up, adding it to the conversation. So this is a really, I think, simple system, a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
It's giant robots smashing each other. And there's a bunch, you know, there's Dinobots, Insectobots, Autobots, Decepticons, spaceships.
All the cool stuff. The art style is great.
They did a great job, very nostalgic factor. I think if you're into Transformers at all, you need to give this game a look. And if you're not, like, I don't think this is going to be the kind of game that, unlike Keyforge, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of neutral in its theme. This, on the other hand, is not neutral.
Right.
So it reminds me of Destiny, where, like, if you're not into Star Wars, you're probably not going to be that big into Destiny.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a lot of people into Star Wars.
That's a good.
Same thing with Transformers, right? So I don't think this game is doing anything revolutionary.
No, I do think it's, the cool thing about it is it feels like the stakes are fairly low, so the fun is pretty high. The game goes pretty quickly, and seems to, at least at this time, always build to 1 to 2 to 3, like really exciting flips, which is really what you want out of any sort of random number thing. A lot of people get caught up in the fact that you have to have random numbers for whatever reason, but the real reason anyone wants random numbers is because they can be exciting.
Yeah.
And this builds up and fulfills the promise on that exciting climax almost every time.
Yeah. And that's the, you know, just looking at Transformers, it's like, now that we're comparing all three, right? If I'm just doing that. It's like, Warhammer Champions, the digital integration, the lack of resources, the restriction to 4 things on the board, basically. It's a new kind of game for someone who's been playing these kind of games.
That's very true.
Whereas Keyforge is, in the game itself, it's not about fighting.
Right, which
is
a little
different.
Right.
But it feels very familiar.
Yeah,
like
put your things out, move them,
etc.
tap them.
Which is, and Transformers has that too. But it definitely, the most innovative thing about it is the format itself.
Yes.
And that's what it's focused on, the fact that all the decks are unique. You can't have 2 of the same deck. It's about learning a deck, not building a deck. And so that's new. And then with Transformers, it's like, I don't get the sense that anyone set out to do anything spectacularly new with Transformers. It was just make a fun Transformers card game.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And they did that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, in the same way, of Legion, which is like, I didn't feel like Legion was doing anything for miniature war games that was new or fresh or crazy. It was just the prompt of, we need a Star Wars miniatures game, because it's never existed, and it should. What would that look like?
Yeah.
And here it is, right?
Yeah.
And there are some innovative factors about it, but not like Keyforge level,
Yeah.
right? So there you have it.
Does that answer the question?
Learning series. Check out the learning series.
Yeah, just
get
look
all the
at 'em.
information, and you can decide for yourself. They're all worth checking out if you're interested. So if you are interested in one of them, I think you'll love it. But if you're just, if you're having to be convinced about Transformers, I doubt you're going to get that kind of a thing.
We'll have plenty of, you're probably a person with very little time, as I would imagine, but like we're going to do, we've live streamed all of these. You can watch Zach and Steven and see if they smile more with Transformers or not.
We smiled a lot in that unboxing video. So, all right, we're going to move on to the next question real quick, trying to hit a couple here.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan, has there been any discussion about an X-Wing Flight Academy video series? As a new player, I'm looking for tips and strategies related to flying my ships. Ryan, this is always something we've talked about. We're just now getting done with the learning series. That's kind of our first stop for all these games, is create a learning series. So we did X-Wing, and then we've since done Keyforge and Transformers and Warhammer Champions. And so we kind of are catching up with all that.
Yeah.
Where we go next is a conversation we're still having. It is possible we do this. I'm at this point, it's not on the docket at this point. So we'll see.
It is literally like what do we do after all the learning series is done is the conversation around the office right now.
Yeah. So
For
we will see.
We'll see. Stay tuned.
Next question. Josh Kester wants to know, do these new Android Netrunner products or Android products from FFG mean Netrunner is coming back? So we've seen like novels happening and this kind of thing. So the Android universe is not going anywhere.
They've invested a lot of money.
FFG owns it. They've made books. They've made an RPG. They've made Netrunner around it. So I don't think it means Netrunner's coming back at all. But I do think it means that they're going to keep making Android stuff, which could be another LCG, could be board games, could be miniature games, could be books.
And I mean, it's worth pointing out that Andrew was pretty straightforward when he said there wasn't a Android card game in the works.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah.
What more do you need to know? It's unfortunate, but it's still a cool world with a lot of cool potential.
Yeah.
Especially the role playing.
Final question here, Landon Dastra. I think Keyforge works great for a more casual audience, but can the casual audience support Keyforge enough to make it worth it? My plan for Keyforge is to buy one deck and play that for an entire set. TCGs are generally pretty expensive to produce, and Keyforge seems even more expensive. I'm not sold on the idea that the casual audience will be able to keep Keyforge going for years to come, and I'm not sold on it being able to build a community of hardcore players that would keep it going. I feel as if it will fall short on both communities and support will stop by its second year. Would love to be proved wrong. Thoughts? I have a lot of thoughts on this one, and then we'll get
roll it out.
So the thing about this to me is, obviously we don't know the math behind the business and all this, but I think there are games that have the potential to basically go right between the goalposts.
Sure.
Which is, I'm trying to think of a really good example. Probably the closest to me is Rune Wars, where they basically, it was too simple to be a war game.
Right.
But not simple enough that it was in the easier category.
Right. Not supposed to be picked up by anyone.
Yeah, it's like you kind of had to be into war games, but not so much into war games that you're wanting a war game out of it. So, it's the kind of thing where it's like, who's the audience for this? Mm-hmm. Like, this and it just goes right through the post, right?
Right.
Didn't hit anybody.
Yeah, I mean, technically going through the goalpost is a good thing. So.
And football, yeah. But if you're trying to hit a goalpost, you didn't hit one, and that's still to be seen. I guess they're rolling along with that game. But for me, Keyforge is, if you're asking who this is for and what's it for, you say it's for a casual audience, which I mean, one, we kind of need to define that before we go too far with it. But really, I am predicting that the most popular way of playing this game. I'll tell you the two most popular ways of playing this game.
Okay.
The first one is going to be sealed, basically, which is you show up to your weekly or monthly or semi-weekly or however often, league night, or you show up to your friend's house with a new display of decks.
Yep.
You each open a deck and you play, right? You go to a tournament, you get a deck, you play 3 or 4 rounds, see you later. Next week you come back, you get a new deck, you do the thing, see you later. I think that will be the most popular way of people playing this game. So, because it's not about collecting.
Right.
Right? Like a pile of 30 decks doesn't do anything for you.
Right.
At all.
Just gives you options.
Just gives you options on what you want to play. But this game, to me, is about discovering.
Yeah.
And so every week having to open a new deck and discover it on the spot is cool. And I've seen by the time you get to game 3 or 4 with a deck, you know it very differently. And so if you get to experience that every time you play, where it's like, oh, I get to learn a deck until it's done, that is, I think, the primary experience people will do. And then I think second to that, you take the decks you buy up front, you take the decks you buy in these kind of sealed environments, and you have your favorites, right? It's like, I really like that one, that was fun. And then, because you're not keeping up with the meta, or building decks, or sorting collections, or trading, or maybe you will trade, I'll trade decks for sure. That's another element that I think is going to be huge. But because all that's gone, it's like, okay, Destiny right now is kind of in a lull, right? I have a month where there's just kind of not too much to talk about, not new decks, not new meta, got it. But it's a great secondary game for people. Yeah. So you can play once a month or however often in a sealed event, build up some decks over a couple months, and then you happen to be at the store or in your community or doing what you do, and it's like, hey, let's just play some games of this other game that's pretty quick, pretty simple. Neither of us have to keep up with the meta or these weird erratas or rules exchanges or any of this kind of stuff, and we just get to play a nice little game. Yeah. And so that, to me, is I think you're right in that either you're going to be very right or very wrong. There's no Landon, who I'm talking to, because I think it's either going to hit major, and major does not mean what it means for most of these games. For a game like Star Wars Destiny to hit, right, a whole bunch of people have to be committed to playing this game. Yeah. And this doesn't even require. This is on the onset isn't even trying to ask you that, right? It's like, hey, anybody that's ever been interested in card games, spend $10 and play a new experience right now. Yeah. And so that's either going to be amazingly appealing, and then all the decks you're collecting end up being kind of a side experience for you. Yeah. Or no one's going to be interested in all. But I think from what we've already seen, just in the initial reaction, I have no doubts about
people.
it.
Yeah, people tend to want to collect. I mean, I think one thing that's really cool about Keyforge, and I know that other card games have this, but it seems to be more prominent because I think about this a lot because I got the box subscription, is that I'm going to get
12 decks.
12 decks. Close enough.
Not enough.
12 decks, but that's good enough for like, I can have those 12 decks are those 12 decks till the end of time.
Yeah.
Like they are always going to be them. Like I'm not going to have to break it down and put it in store. And it's like, I can always just grab that off the thing and keep it. So not only will you have people buying, they'll probably be the people who invest heavily, but then they can just take those decks to their friends and then they can play. And then maybe those people, well, I want to buy my own deck now. And it can kind of start to exponentially grow.
Well, and that's where like, and we'll see. I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done in Keyforge, but the reality of like, I'm getting 12 decks, I'm planning to keep 3 or 4 of them. And anytime anybody's over, it's like, that's a light enough game. It's like, we'll just pick up some random decks and play.
Sure.
I'm planning to give the rest of the decks away, right, to people.
What a generous human
well, it's
being.
just friends that I've wanted to play against and get involved, right?
You have the prime line for my cold, dead hands.
That's right. But I do think, again, it's like, if let's say I play once a week in a Keyforge, or once every 2 or 3 weeks. So every month I'm getting a deck or 2. It's like over the next 6 months, I'm going to have 12, 15, 20 decks.
Yeah.
It's so easy to hand 2 decks to someone.
Yeah.
So I think that's correct in saying that like this is a game that is not, if you are on like the bell curve on the high end of tabletop gaming, where you play all the time, multiple times a week, you go to tournaments, you go to events, you do this whole thing, this is not necessarily aimed at you.
Right.
Right? I think it's aimed at the other 99% of people in tabletop gaming who play occasionally or play with a certain group of friends or don't have time. Because I have so many people that come to our store that don't have time and get outed of games because they can't keep up with the meta, can't keep up with deck building,
as we were talking about at the very beginning.
And they can just walk in whenever they want, pay $10, they can play.
It's so nice.
So we'll see. Is that appealing enough to? It seems like final note. I mean, I could go on and on about Keyforge, but forever, our whole focus is on this idea of like making it easier for people to get in. And so as soon as Keyforge is announced, it is addressing several of the barriers that we run into on a daily basis in our local community and online that keep people from engaging in this hobby and in this community. And I think on a more macro level, either we're totally wrong about these barriers existing.
Us and Richard Garfield are totally wrong.
Totally. Well, and FFG and whoever's doing it. But like, my thing about it is fundamentally this game makes it easier for someone to get in.
Yeah.
But it also means people are gonna be less committed to it.
That's true.
Right? Like you get to a certain point with Destiny, and like you're kind of in.
Yeah.
It's a little sunk cost fallacy going on. It's money, time, skill, community, even just friendships, and it's like it's kind of like sticky. Whereas Keyforge is like anytime you want to drop, you can.
Yeah.
If you come back 6 months from now, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anytime, and that is the downside of the barriers being so low. Is not only anytime you want to come in, you can. But it also means anytime you want to drop, you can.
Yeah, but that's nice.
Yeah, I'm into
like,
that.
I had 2
Life
friends
happens,
recently that had kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're going to be gone for 6 to 12 months, because I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like 2 months from now, if they happen to have a free night, they aren't going to be able to play Destiny.
No, they can. Yeah, that's very true. They can just roll right in with that.
They can just roll right in Keyforge. So, final thing here, we'd like to end the show with a question and have you guys respond in the comments, typically on YouTube. So my question, I would love to know, after our just conversation here about Keyforge, do you think Keyforge is going to hit or miss, and why? So is it addressing the barriers of entry enough to get enough of an audience to keep going? Or is this just way off crazy, and is it going to miss, and why? Why do you believe that?
Time to go on record, and we'll find out, right?
That's right. And we'll be able to reference this in a couple years on the podcast and put you on blast or put you on a pedestal. So thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget about the giveaways. We really do appreciate everyone that subscribes, allowing us to do what we do. And of course, everyone listening, watching, sharing, and commenting on these podcasts. Thank you so much. Till next time, keep playing.